I was trying to rush it. I thought there was only 3 verses standing on the promises, and I'm sorry about that, Gary. It's time to stop before it's time to stop. You know, friends, there's no greater place that I'd rather be than the house of God with God's children and worship. It's the most promising hour that we have in the week. True, we can worship wherever, but this is a sacred time that we come to. But it also should be an exciting time. So for me, I am very happy to be here. I'm going to read this morning from Mark 6, some verses. First, verses 30 through 34, and then 53 through 56. Mark chapter 6, verse 30. The apostles gathered around Jesus and told him all that they had done and taught. He said to them, "Come away to a deserted place all by yourselves and rest a while." For many were coming and going, and they had no leisure even to eat. They went away in the boat to a deserted place by themselves. Now many saw them going and recognized them, and they hurried there on foot from all the towns and arrived ahead of them. As he went ashore, he saw a great crowd, and he had compassion for them, because they were like sheep without a shepherd. And then verse 53. When they had crossed over, they came to land at Gennesaret and moored the boat. When they got out of the boat, people at once recognized him and rushed about the whole region and began to bring the sick on mats to wherever they heard he was. And wherever he went, into villages or cities or farms, and laid the sick in the marketplaces and begged him that they might touch even the fringe of his cloak. And all who touched him were healed. The word of God for us, people of God. Let's pray. Lord God, we thank you and give you praise and glory for this time that we have together. Now be in our midst and comfort us, challenge us, and convict us as we move forward on this road of discipleship. In Jesus' name, amen. Trust me, dear friends, I know that we are all busy people. I get it. I experience, like you do, deadlines. I experience the hustle and bustle of overextended lives. I get it. Therefore, I enjoy a time of respite. I enjoy a time of relaxation. There's one thing that I do not do, however. I don't take naps in the afternoon. Because if I do, it's so hard to shake the cobwebs off when I do wake up. It's difficult, so I just don't do that. Maybe I should, but I'm just constantly moving forward. So maybe I can retire to the bed a little bit earlier. Normally, we have good times of rest and sleep. And if all the pain's gone and I take the right medicine, I can gather in and have a good night's sleep. However, sometimes there are interruptions that take place in our lives. The worst time in the world you can receive an interruption is when you're trying to sleep. Let me tell you about it. We've got this black cat. A pretty good size animal. And in our country home we had this old-timey box TV. You know what I'm talking about? The ones that weigh like 75 to 100 pounds. Not a big TV, but a pretty good, nice size TV. And our black cat decided that he enjoyed so much spending his time on top of that old black TV set because he felt the heat. You know, cats love heat, right? They like to be out. Tracy, you know this, they like heat. Every night, sunny. We thought was a girl to begin with, and that's S-O-N-N-Y. Sonny would find his place on top of that old black TV just to receive the heat. It was over in the wee hours of the morning. And Sonny decided it was bath time. And he began to take his early morning bath on top of the TV. And all of a sudden, Landon, boom, the TV fell slap dab on the floor. You talk about an interruption, brother. We couldn't believe it. I sat right up in the bed and I said, Lord, have mercy, what's going on here? I thought the Lord was coming back. Well, the good news is this. That TV didn't break. And I guess the bad news is that, well, maybe two parts. The Lord didn't come back, and the bad news also was this, that after a while, those people's arms and legs started becoming purple and pink and things of that nature. So needless to say, I had to go out to Walmart and buy a smaller flat screen TV to put in that bedroom. But you know what I did? I got me some Gorilla Tape, and I taped that bad boy down to the TV stand. That'll be one interruption and I won't have again. I hope. It's hard to be interrupted. This text for the day finds Jesus being faced with many interruptions. On this certain day, Jesus has called his disciples together, and they're out to try to receive some time of care, some time of rest. And if you remember the text from a couple of weeks ago, Jesus had sent his disciples out 2 by 2, and they were back with him at this certain time, and they were to give a report of things that were going on. Well, as they were trying to give their report, you've heard about sending them out 2 by 2, shake the dust off your feet, that kind of thing. They were back trying to give their report, and all of a sudden it was just one interruption after the other. That's in the middle of these two passages. Mark kind of sometimes sandwiches things together. They were trying to give a report, and they were interrupted. Jesus realized something strange and bad was going on. They didn't even have time to eat, let me tell you. It's bad when I don't have time to eat. I look forward to that time. When you don't have time to eat, you need somebody to interrupt your busy lifestyle. I've been guilty of having so much on my life plate that I forget to put something on my dinner plate. But that hadn't been too many times, you can probably tell. And I can't stand eating in the car. I always wear more food than I get in my mouth. But interruptions do come our way. Am I not correct? In today's lesson, there's a great need for interruptions. If you read the middle part of that text, those verses, you find that there are two stories. And this is the reason that Jesus was interrupted time after time. The first story, you can read it in those verses. All the people had gathered. 5,000 plus, and they had nothing to eat. And Jesus didn't say, send them away. Jesus said, you give them something to eat. 5,000 people were blessed with food. All because Jesus was interrupted. Are you with me? All because he was interrupted. 5,000 people received great meal. The second story. Jesus said, go to the other side, told his disciples. He'd been up on the mountain trying to pray. He'd trying to still receive some of that time that he needed apart from other folks. He'd been up there trying to pray, and yet he was interrupted again. Boy, you see all these interruptions all over the book of Mark. He was interrupted again because the disciples, he saw from a distance, the disciples were out on the boat, trying to head to the other side. Everybody was running, trying to find their way and bring their folks that needed so much healing and so much help. And they were faced by, the Bible says, the text says, an adverse wind. It was kind of like a wind that is kind of a button down the hatches wind. It was a hostile wind. Jesus saw the need, and he interrupted that storm. Went to their side, stepped over into the boat, and there was perfect peace. Sometimes in life, I believe that we need for God to interrupt us a little bit. Sometimes in life, God needs to come and speak to us and bring about a great interruption in our life. I want to tell you about something that happens for me almost every week that I'm in the office. Let's see. William Hurley. Can you come here a second? Thanks. You can bring it to it. You can bring it to it. Can I hold you? This is what he does. Once a week, he comes from school. He runs into my office. And he hugs me, and I say, can I have some sugar? And he gives me some good sugar. He reminded me this week of that interruption in Mark chapter 10. Remember? In Mark chapter 10, the disciples were saying, Jesus, come on, you've got so much more to do. Jesus, come on, so much more to do. And Jesus said, I'm going to stay for a while. All of a sudden, the people started bringing little kids to him. Remember? One of my favorite passages. All the people started bringing little children to him, and he took them. He said, come unto me. Bring the children unto me. Bring all the children unto me. For such as this, the kingdom belongs. This is the way it's got to be. You've got to become like little children. Sometimes when William comes in the office, he'll say, preacher, why do you scream us on Sunday morning? Did you say that? What's something you really like to look at in my office? Churches, absolutely. And I try to explain to him that I'm not screaming, I'm just excited about what the Lord is doing for us in our lives and in our church. So William, I'm going to tell you, buddy, I'm not going to scream, okay? You are one of the greatest interruptions that I could ever have in my life. You know what? I wonder if we need to witness that great interruption of God in our own hearts. It could be that something's troubling you this day. It could be that you need to be interrupted. This week I'll be interrupted because my dear mother will be going under the knife. It will be different. But I believe with all my heart that interruption will be sanctioned by God. Every time Jesus faced an obstacle, he turned it into an opportunity. William, did you hear that? William, I'm not screaming, am I? Every time Jesus faced an obstacle, he turned it into an opportunity. Okay? You, my friend, turn today into an opportunity. You know what, folks? I don't care what what's going on in your life. There's never been anything too big that God can interrupt us and say, I've got my hand on you. I'm leading you. I'm blessing you. It's okay. It's okay, Lena. It's all right. It's all right. We need interruptions. Okay. Let us pray, friends. Let us pray. Oh God, grace and glory on your people, pour your power. We have before us this day a text that could have led us in many different ways. However, on Tuesday evening, you put aside for me some time to hear your word, to hear your leadership, your guidance. Lord, this day we thank you for helping us to understand that we have some needed interruptions in our lives. I'll be the first one, God, to admit to just that. There's nothing, no situation, nothing that you cannot work out for your goodness and your glory. Today, Lord, we freely accept that interruption.